into an early rhythm. And Leipzig looking to get themselves on the front foot early. Tidiam Gomis. A sharp shot, but well dealt with by Manuel Neuer. First piece of action for the Bayern captain. Tidy work by Gomis, tricky customer. Nathaniel Brown was staying touch tight and ultimately made life easier for Neuer because he knew where the shot was going if he managed to get the shot off. Just to go through the starting lineup for Bayern in full. For those of you joining us here on FC Bayern TV+, we've got Manuel Neuer in goal. Nathaniel Brown at left back. The centre-back pairing of Jonathan Tah and Min-Jae Kim. You've got Konrad Laimer in his wonderful makeshift role that he's made his own at right back. And you've got Alexander Pavlovic, Joshua Kimmich in holding midfield. Tim Binder, the young winger, out on the right wing, who's caught the eye in pre-season. Tom Bischoff, who's been one of the star performers during the summer for Bayern. And then you've got Luis Lucho Diaz on the left wing with Arijon Ibrahimovic playing in the lone striker role. Vincent Kompany, Bayern, still shorn of their World Cup superstars in the form of Harry Kane, Michael Olise and Dayot Upamecano. They are back in Munich. They have popped up at Säbener Straße, but not going to be thrust into action just yet. Kompany, however, does have Jamal Musiala back on the bench. So too Alphonso Davies. Both have been going through individual rehabilitation programs and as a result missed out on the Asian tour. We might also get a Bayern debut for the man signed from PSV Eindhoven in the summer, Ismail Saibari. Officially unveiled yesterday, and he has taken a place on the bench and might be an option late on. Was nursing that injury he picked up in the World Cup against France. But something tells me here at the Allianz Arena, the idea will be to give the Moroccan his bow in front of the Bayern fans, a chance to make a first impression as a Bayern player. Well, it's fair to say he caught the eye when the German record title holders met PSV Eindhoven in the Champions League. Max Ebel, the board director of sport, said that Bayern had Saibari on their radar, but it was that performance against them where he posed a constant threat that really made them want to make the move. And the move they made this summer, and an enrichment to a front line that was already in formidable form last season. 122 goals in the Bundesliga, the single season record absolutely obliterated. In all competitions, 184 goals in 55 games. And of those 55, only 5 did they fail to score 2 or more goals in. It was extraordinary attacking output. Konrad Laimer drawing the foul. Former Leipzig player, feeling the effects of that clash with Antonio Nusa. Signed a contract extension during the summer, committing his future to the club until 2029. Certainly still feeling the effects of that knock, Laimer, worth keeping an eye on. He's not a man to make a mountain out of a molehill when it comes to an injury. You can see Lima pointing to his leg and actually seeming to suggest that he can already sense and see some swelling. Yeah, rather innocuous. It actually wasn't with Nusa the clash, it was with David Raum. Just came from behind, caught him late. And that is what Bayern would have at the top of their priority list when it comes to things they want to avoid today. Injuries. Hoping that everyone can stay fit and be ready to fire on all cylinders at the start of the season, despite the impact of the World Cup on preparations. The fact that Vincent Kompany still yet to work with the full contingent of his star-studded squad. There are a couple of injury absentees, Serge Gnabry, Lennart Karl, working their way back to full fitness, but not ready to be involved just yet, and unlikely to be ready for the Super Cup. Diaz tries to dance to the byline. Lucho. What a debut season he had. Someone that made your heart flutter with a football at his feet. It really is in some discomfort, and as a result, 9 minutes played and an early substitution for Bayern and Vincent Kompany as Sacha Bouet comes on for Konrad Laimer. Cross our fingers and wish Konrad Laimer a successful recovery from that knock. As I say, he's not someone to be forced off the pitch without good reason. We have seen him take many a knock in a Bayern kit and play through the pain, but on this occasion, taken off. Leipzig really biting into the challenges. They wouldn't mind sending a message. Something tells me Martin Demichelis would have been demanding they do. After a miserable experience against Bayern last season. Free kick for Bayern. Kimmich, excuse me. Swings it in, headed clear and out for a throw-in. Konrad Laimer having to be helped off the pitch by the physios because he cannot plant that right leg of his due to the knock he sustained to the thigh muscle. Vincent Kompany just having a quick word with the Austrian international. Brought his qualities to the World Cup stage. Maximovic. Back to Niklas Seiwald. That Austrian midfield trio broken up this summer with Xaver Schlager leaving and joining Premier League side Nottingham Forest. Christoph Baumgartner still out with the injury that forced him out of the World Cup. Such a shame, given the form he was in at the end of last season, fully deserving his place. And would have been a potential star for Ralf Rangnick and company, but it was not to be. Martin Demichelis was certainly a fan favourite when on the books with Bayern München. Joined the club from River Plate in 2003. 8 years spent before leaving to join Malaga. Career took him to Atletico Madrid, Manchester City, Espanyol and Malaga again before he hung up his boots in 2017 and now has turned his talents to coaching. 4-time Bundesliga champion, 4-time DFB Pokal winner, 259 appearances, 15 goals for Martin Demichelis, but here looking to get one over his old club as he sees his fellow South American Luis Diaz ping a lovely ball to Binder, and now Binder tries to add a little pace into the game. Tim Binder on that lovely left foot of his. Went to be unselfish, it breaks for Luis Lucho Diaz! A gift that the Colombian is happy to take. The bounce of the ball working in Bayern's favour. And after scoring a stunning goal to win the game in Hong Kong against Aston Villa, he's once again on the score sheet. His debut season proved he had a deadly finish. Leipzig thought they'd dealt with the danger, but a ricochet lands at the feet of Diaz. And he wastes no time in picking out the bottom corner with that trademark curled finish of his. 26 goals, 22 assists in 51 games in all competitions with Bayern last season. This is just the beginning with Luis Diaz. Bayern draw first blood in the Telekom Cup just before the quarter-hour mark. Leipzig have tried to be positive in the opening exchanges. They've tried to force the issue. They've tried to make Bayern play their game, but now Bayern have got the lead and they're breaking again with Sacha Boey. 3 in the middle to aim for. Teased in and Bischoff closest to it. Not close enough. Kimmich. Pavlovic recycles back to Kimmich. Ibrahimovic making that little run in behind. Kimmich goes wide to the goal scorer Diaz. Pavlovic, pocket of space, edge of the area, thought about the shot. Bouet back to Tar. Pavlovic. Kimmich, pocket picked, Maksimovic. Played out to Nusa by Ezekiel Banzuzi. Back to Banzuzi. Bayern just stepping off a bit, shadowing the ball, making sure that Leipzig aren't able to get into any dangerous areas, forcing the retreat now. Orban just about refusing to go back to his goalkeeper, Martin van der Voort. And then given away cheaply the forward progressive pass, straight to Tar. Kimmich closed down quickly. Gets the ball to Neuer, who gives it back to Joshua Kimmich. Kimmich clipped, advantage played. Diaz into feet for Ibrahimovic. Awkward bounce, but it's worked back to Diaz. Just for a moment, it looked like a chance for a quick-fire double either side of the quarter-hour mark. Still go back to that quote from his fellow Colombian, James Rodriguez, who had a wonderful 2-year loan spell in Munich, where he dazzled and delighted just like Luis Diaz, and he said he felt that Diaz was a perfect fit for Bayern, and they were words that rang so true. You could see the instant impact he made, the fact that he quickly got on the same wavelength as his Bayern teammates. Not easy, given the fact that he doesn't speak much English, and he definitely didn't speak any German. But alongside Michael Olise, alongside Harry Kane, Luis Diaz was part of that terrific triumvirate that Bayern had up front. Here he is, getting the ball from summer signing Nathaniel Brown. Wants it back, the former Frankfurt man. Binder, lovely footwork from Binder. Ibrahimovic is in his way. He can't get the shot off. And in the end, Ibrahimovic's involvement sees the offside flag raised. Chance to revisit the finish from Luis Diaz. It fell kindly for him, but he still had work to do in beating Martin van der Voort. And it's fair to say, a lot of love for Lucho in Munich. Diaz through to Bischoff. Lost his footing at the vital moment. Banzuzi let the ball roll. That was ill-advised with Ibrahimovic lurking. Now this is a game being played with the intensity more of a league match than a pre-season fixture. Not to be taken for granted in the scorching Saturday heat either. Ibrahimovic, a player that has been so keen to impress and prove himself in pre-season. He's had some eye-catching moments. Has been forced to play in perhaps a more unfamiliar role to him as a lone striker. He certainly doesn't have the stature of Harry Kane. Brings different qualities to the role. He's been working on his first time finishing with Vincent Kompany in training. As now Binder tries to make something happen. Again, the fleet foot of Tim Binder, and well, after losing out against Nusa, he then just hacks the heels and commits the foul. But you have to like what Tim Binder brings to the football pitch. Plays with that same type of dynamism and confidence that we saw from Lennart Karl as he broke onto the scene last season. And it's fair to say Tim Binder has some similar attributes and qualities to Lennart Karl, but I think it's fair to say will be keen to set himself apart if he can. He's definitely one of the big winners of pre-season, the 19-year-old. Vincent Kompany, no stranger to giving teenage players their debut in Bayern colours and letting them feel that faith that can help them take the next step in their personal developments as a footballer. Min-jae Kim. Kimmich dropping a little deep finding Tom Bischoff, who now dons the number 8 on the back of his kit. A number that has some legendary names to it in Bayern colours and in Bayern's past. Paul Breitner, Uli Hoeneß, Lothar Matthäus, more recently Javi Martinez, and of course Leon Goretzka, who left the club. Binder, more space to work with out wide. Overlapping run from Bouet. Cut back, cut out. Appeals for a handball, but waved away by Robert Hartmann. There will be no video assistant reviews of incidents in a game like this. But we get the benefit of a replay at least, and yeah, came off Willi Orban's backside more than his hand. And even then, his hands were in a natural position, tucked behind his body. Absolutely no penalty to give there. But now a hydration break, so important. These are taxing conditions for these players. Worth highlighting that there will be live coverage of Bayern's Fan Day on Monday. It can be found on various Bayern channels, so pick your preference. Join us there. We'll be live streaming the event, giving you a few updates about seeing what Bayern get up to behind the scenes. And ultimately maybe giving you a unique perspective on the connection between Bayern and their fans. Of course, Martin Demichelis also has a past of coaching with Bayern. He worked with the under-19s at the Bayern campus as he was making his first steps into a career as a coach. Tells me every fan inside the Allianz Arena would love to be under that sprinkler there, and I'm sure some of the players are taking the opportunity as well. Why not? I know I would. Now, the summer has been brutal in the south of Bavaria, but at least there have been a few storms in the mix to provide a bit of hydration. Keep the greenery looking green. The Allianz Arena had a new pitch laid over the summer months as well. And I guess you can use it to clean your shoes as well if you're Brian Gruder. I personally would have had a little refreshment on my upper body, personally. Scrappy in midfield. Seifert comes away with it for Leipzig. I can tell you the Mexican wave is going around the Allianz Arena, part of that pre-season feel. And the impressive thing, it's taking place around all three tiers of the Allianz Arena as well. The fans having some fun in the sun on this scorching Saturday afternoon. Nice touch around the corner to Banzuzi. He wants to spread the play to this near side for Brian Gruder, but first touch proves evasive. We're sweeping it out to Nathaniel Brown. Signed from Eintracht Frankfurt, but born in Bavaria, in a little place called Ambach. Admitted that he didn't quite have the Bayern bedsheets that someone like Tom Bischoff has boasted about, but said he was very pleased to join the record title holders. He wants to win titles. It feels like the lessons he learned, especially during the turbulent season that Eintracht Frankfurt had last season, where he was still one of the standouts, was ultimately to not allow himself to be broken by pressure. And that statement, that resolve will be tested when you're a Bayern player in a way that it wouldn't as an Eintracht Frankfurt squad member. But he impressed at the World Cup with Germany. He's impressed in his pre-season appearances, winning out there against Brian Gruder. A very tidy piece of business done by Bayern in the summer transfer window. Gomes gets the final touch to come off Jonathan Tah. Well, these two sides met 3 times last season. Bayern winning all 3 matches. They scored 13 goals across those 3 games. Conceded just once. There was a 6-0 win on the opening match day in the official season opener. Harry Kane adding a hat-trick after Olise had bagged a brace and Luis Diaz had scored his debut goal in Bayern colours. Then there was a 5-1 win during the second half of the season. Bayern conceded first, but 5 different goal scorers in the second half. Claimed all 3 points once again. And then there was a 2-0 win in the quarterfinals of the DFB Pokal. Harry Kane, Luis Diaz making the difference on that occasion. All part of Bayern's journey back to DFB Pokal winning form, claiming Germany's sole cup competition for the first time since 2020, completing their 14th domestic double. Sits up for Diaz nicely on the volley, charged down. Banzuzi looking for the outlet to Gruder. Wayward pass, but a foul on Banzuzi brings the play back. Just clipped late by Nathaniel Brown there. Fair decision from Robert Hartmann. Just over half an hour played of the 2026 Telekom Cup, and Bayern giving their home fans something to cheer in the first time they featured at the Allianz Arena. Given away cheaply, Bouet battles back, so too does Tah, and Bayern win out in the end. To quote Max Abel, Sacha Bouet is allowed to leave the club because Bayern don't really have a role for him, but he also has the right to see out his contract. And if we're being honest, Sacha Boey has been one of the standout performers for Bayern in pre-season. Unless we forget we had the situation with Leon Goretzka, where it looked like he was on the outs at Bayern. He battled his way back to a more prominent role. Maybe Boey can do the same, as Gomis now bears down on goal and sends the shot wide from a tight angle, sliced off the top of the boot. That was never troubling Manuel Neuer. Nice little run made in behind Min-jae Kim from the young Frenchman. Kim recovered the position and ultimately meant that the shot was not uncontested. Leipzig trying to establish a foothold. We've got just under 10 minutes until half-time. Luis Diaz with the only goal of the game so far. Bayern with a strong grip on proceedings, but no daylight to speak of on the scoreline, as loose pass there from Ibrahimovic puts Binder under pressure. He wants the goal kick. He gets the goal kick. Another strong bit of play there from the impressive Tim Binder. Signed from the Augsburg youth ranks. He's had to bide his time to make the breakthrough. But after seeing so many of his teammates in the Bayern under-19 ranks be given their Bayern bow by Vincent Kompany, he'll be hoping that maybe he's one of the next in line. Leipzig really trying to put Joshua Kimmich under pressure. This time, the referee's whistle blows in his favour. Binder does well against Nusa, but then it's pass at the end of the play. Antonio Nusa, who scored once at the World Cup for Norway, part of that side that were knocked out by England. Luis Diaz Down, clutching his backside. Leipzig leaving their mark on some of these Bayern players and some of these 50-50s. Konrad Laimer has already been forced off injured, and now Riedler Baku. Oh yeah, that was robust to say the least on Luis Diaz, who tried to stand his ground and as a result took the brunt of the contact there, dished out by Riedler Baku. Little slap of the hands between him and Martin Demichelis. Vincent Kompany and Martin Demichelis, who have a shared past as well, having spent time on the books at Manchester City together. Three years spent together on the blue side of Manchester. Good understanding between the two centre-backs, as well as we saw pre-match when old friends reunited. Tard as well to avoid the pressure. Bischoff felt he was fouled. Instead, is penalised for a handball. At the same time, Leipzig just can't really play their way out from the back right now. As I say that, Banzuzi turns the corner magnificently against Kimmich, who has to grab a hold of both hips to stop Banzuzi in his tracks. Baku with very little space to work with, but combines with Gruder. Now he has a pocket of space to cross. Attacked well and nodded just wide. It was just teased in by Riedler Baku. And Ezekiel Banzuzi had the run on Jonathan Tah. He got his head to the ball, but it's glanced wide. Leipzig's best chance of this first half, best chance to restore parity before the break. Slight warning shot for Bayern to heed as well. Vincent Kompany has made a point of the fact that results are secondary to attitude out on the pitch in pre-season. But he'd prefer both, the win and the right attitude. That's what set his Bayern players apart last season. So many different head coaches describing them as being on another level. That aura of invincibility restored by the Belgian boss. Two additions to the trophy cabinet as they won the domestic double for the 14th time in club history. His first season produced one title. His second season produced two. Could his third possibly produce the third treble in Bayern's club history? Jupp Heynckes was the mastermind in 2013. Hansi Flick, the mastermind in 2020. And last season, Kompany was so close to doing it again. Ball in for Baku, and he tests Manuel Neuer at his near post with the improvised effort from the long switch of play. No one had picked up the run of Baku, though. Did well on the volley. Manuel Neuer had all his angles covered. Pavlovic tried to turn, clipped by Banzuzi. Pavlovic brushes himself off, wins the ball back. It's a real German core in midfield for Bayern, with Kimmich, Pavlovic and Bischoff. Two of the three went to the World Cup. Many thought that Bischoff should have. And by all accounts, if Julian Nagelsmann is to be believed, he was really on the cusp of getting the nod in the squad. Now Nini Brown. Back to Luis Diaz. Bischoff back to goal. Plays the ball back to Kimmich. Kompany will be pleased with the element of control his side have had in the game. I'm not sure he'll be as pleased with their chance creation. Not sure we'll have too much time added on at the end of the first half. I think it's fair to say intensity levels have dropped a little bit in the intensity of this summer heat. Ibrahimovic through to Pavlovic. He's continued his run. Van der Voort thought about coming. Pavlovic to Sacha Bouet. Bouet! Deflected behind for a corner. Brought on for the injured Konrad Laimer. Sacha Bouet doing what he's done all pre-season and catching the eye. Getting into some really positive and promising positions. Corner for Vincent Kompany's side. Bischoff to take the in-swinger. Comes back out to Sacha Bouet. Goes back to Manuel Neuer. Bischoff challenges, but unsuccessfully. Two minutes of time added on at the end of this first half. The two teams separated by Luis Diaz's effort just before the quarter-hour mark. Bayern look at the high press. Right on the stroke of half-time, trying to force the mistake out of the Leipzig backline. Van der Voort goes long as a result. Ruda does well to keep the ball in play. But ultimately, look how quickly the ball won back by Bayern. Bouet now, lovely little touch into space. His pass let him down, and Ibrahimovic bundled into Banzuzi for another foul in Leipzig's favour. Lusa sees the offside flag raised. FC Bayern München 1-0 up at half-time of the 2026 Telekom Cup. First appearance at the Allianz Arena, and Luis Lucho Diaz gave the Bayern fans something to cheer. It's his goal that separates the sides at half-time. Enjoy the half-time break. We'll be back soon for the second half.
Tatsächlich diesen Schuss losgelassen hat. der Linie. Der das schießt, der Ball fliegt und klatscht an die Latte. Das hat es vorher noch nie gegeben. Ich sehe auch nicht hin. Jeder singt zusammen. Und wir haben damals einfach gesagt, Mensch, was für ein toller Schuss. Wir sind in der Meinung, man sollte noch eine zweite Chance bekommen. Und die anderen, heute beim Telekom Cup, hier ist Dennis. Dennis Munich, der Einzige, der vor der Mitglied in die Latte getroffen hat. Er war so nah dran. Wenn es im FC Bayern und die Telekom etwas versprechen, dann halten sie es auch. Bist du so weit? Hast du geübt?
Ja, öfters jetzt gesetzt.
Du stehst noch im Tor in deinem Verein.
Ja.
Daher Power. Bist du gut raus?
Auf jeden Fall.
Drück mir Dennis die Daumen. Trotzdem der Reihe nach. Dennis, eine deiner leichtesten Übungen, du beginnst vom 16. Pitchen. Geht um 100 €. Da trinkt der Dennis noch um Eier rein.
Hello and welcome back everyone to the 2026 Telekom Cup. Bayern München at home to RB Leipzig in their first and what will be only pre-season appearance here at the Allianz Arena. The scores as things stand: Bayern 1, Leipzig 0. The deciding goal so far delivered courtesy of Luis Diaz. Bayern will want to add to that tally in the second half. Meanwhile, it's worth noting Leipzig have made wholesale changes at half-time. Try and take you through all the substitutions in just a minute. You can see there Konrad Harder coming on for Antonio Nusa. Benjamin Henrichs has also been introduced to the game. Johan Bakayoko, Max Finkgräfe, all part of that pre-season experience. Even here at the Telekom Cup as we get back underway for the second half. The ball all the way back to Manuel Neuer. His long ball recycled by Bayern out wide. There is Benjamin Henrichs coming on for Riedler Baku, who probably had the best chance for Leipzig in the first half. Had to improvise at the back post, but made a nice run into space that wasn't picked up. First time volley did not have the beating of Manuel Neuer from the angle, but here's Bakayoko, and he does not have the beating of Neuer either. That was a much better save, and it had to be, from the Bayern captain to deny Bakayoko digging this one out and into the top corner. The 40-year-old at full stretch. He's still got a lot to offer. He is still a wall. As the corner comes in, attacked by Harder, headed down by Banzuzi, but off target. Long ball, Luis Diaz, Van der Vaart's off his line. Diaz looks for Binder, space to work with here. And two in the middle to aim for if he wants to. More arriving. Back to Boué, Binder's offside. Now able to pick up the ball, but crowded out by three in white. Wins it back, but a foul in the eyes of the officials, courtesy of Sacha Boué. Lovely fingertip save from Manuel Neuer. He might be 40 years old, but it still takes something special to beat Manuel Neuer. And we hope it isn't his last season in professional football. But if it is, we've got an entire campaign to truly savour from one of the greatest of all time in the goalkeeping department. So comfortable with the ball at his feet. He is someone that changed the game between the sticks. In terms of the involvement in the build-up play, in terms of the sweeper-keeper mentality and attitude he brought to the role. The only thing that offers a glimmer of hope that this might not be Manuel Neuer's final season is that if he plays the majority of this current campaign in the Bundesliga, there might be a chance that with one more season he could become the all-time record appearance maker in Germany's top flight. It's worth pointing out he does have to play, I think it's over 90% of the matches available to do so, which is maybe asking a lot of Manuel Neuer, given his recent injury history. Lots of little niggly injuries, nothing too major since that leg break he suffered on a ski trip. Here's the goal scorer, Luis Diaz. Looks to turn provider, and Binder couldn't get there with a burst of pace. Banzuzi doubled up on. Bakayoko has already tested Neuer once. Looking to do it again. Bakayoko! It's off the post. But this time Neuer was beaten. Cheeky effort from Bakayoko. But back off the frame of the goal is now Tim Binder down the other end. Can he go one better maybe? Can't bundle his way through. And Bayern's high press forces another long ball out of Leipzig. I think Gräfe takes it off of Bouet. Releases the run of Harder. Can he get the ball to Bakayoko? Yes, he can. Bakayoko! Well, that's 3 chances in quick succession. 3 goal-scoring opportunities in less than 6 minutes for the half-time substitute Bakayoko. 2 saves from Neuer once he's hit the post. But this game is taking on a slightly different element in the second half. Bakayoko looking to be a difference maker for Leipzig. Gomis taking on Binder. Banzuzi gets it back from Orban. Three for company for Tidiane Gomis, but he wanted to take them all on. And he almost made it work as at the back post! Gruder makes it 1-1 in the Telekom Cup. And they've been knocking on the door, Leipzig, and they've got their equaliser. Finkgräfe picking out Gruder, and it's Leipzig's half-time substitutes that are making the desired impact with their fresh legs on a scorching Saturday afternoon. Neuer's pulled off a handful of good saves, but Gruder coming out on top to make it 1-1. Bakayoko chipped away and chipped away and chipped away, and in the end, it was a good bit of communication actually. Brian Gruder giving him the shout to say, I've got this. Doing what Bakayoko couldn't in beating Manuel Neuer. This was the cheeky one through the legs of Brown. So difficult for Neuer to anticipate, and on that occasion he wouldn't have got there, but ball coming back off the post. This one close to unstoppable. Gomes round the corner for Finkgräfer. Recovered from that blow to the head. Now it's Leipzig's turn to try and produce the high press. Diaz finds an outlet in Kimmich. Gomes shifts onto that right foot, but shot well off target. And right now, Leipzig have come out very hungry at the start of this second half. 10 minutes played. Binder. Bayern trying to muster up a response to that equaliser now. Want to get themselves back in front before Vincent Kompany starts to ring in the changes of his own that might make the desired impact, but these players will want to get the job done before that's the case. Pavlovic, oh what a ball. Nene Brown makes it 2-1. Lightning in a bottle from Bayern Munich. And Nene Brown says hello to the Allianz Arena as he gets a first Bayern goal on home soil since his summer move from Frankfurt. Making a good first impression. And that's a fine way to introduce yourself to the Bayern fan base. Let's take nothing away from the sublime pass from Pavlovic. That is a tidy finish from Nene Brown. And just like that, Bayern bite back. That pass really was a stroke of genius from Alexander Pavlovic. Broke two Leipzig lines, took every player around the ball out of the game. Ayodele, Thomas. Arthur Vermeeren and Rocco Reitz, a new man signed from Borussia Mönchengladbach. His departure ruffled a few feathers, but ultimately Leipzig can offer him the type of football at the type of level that Gladbach, his boyhood club, simply could not. Arthur Vermeeren, perhaps one of those players hoping that he can get a new lease of life at Leipzig under Martin de Michelis. Ibrahimovic trying to use the turnover to Bayern's advantage. Bouet, no one really in the middle to aim for. Back to Binder. Binder goes back to Tar. Bayern having now gone back in front on the scoreline, trying to take the sting out of the game a little bit on the hour mark. A goal down, Leipzig really did come herring out of the blocks after the restart. And they got the goal that they were pushing for, but parity did not last long. Certainly not as long as they would have hoped. And that's because Pavlovic picked a perfect pass. Nene Brown made a brilliant run. But at the end of it, he had the composure to finish the chance off. Can't have asked for much more in his first ever appearance at the Allianz Arena. Here he is, taking the ball on the half turn, letting it run across his body and then finding Diaz. Henrichs for company, finds Kimmich. He could have had a shot in the end. Oh, that's one of the poorest passes I think I've ever seen Joshua Kimmich play. They've won it back though, Bayern, with Binder now. Oh, Binder skips past Binkrefer. He was looking for that delicate delivery at the end of it all. And the Allianz Arena liking what they see from Tim Binder, and for good reason as well. Short corner to Kimmich. Brown lets it run. Brown wants another. High and wide from Nathaniel Brown on that occasion. But to score your first goal as a Bayern player in front of the Südkurve, whether it be in pre-season or not, got to be a nice moment. One he'll be hoping to recreate in the three competitions that Bayern will feature in. Looking to defend the domestic double. And then looking to maybe go one better than they went to the Champions League last season when they were knocked out in the semi-finals by Paris Saint-Germain. Less said about the game here at the Allianz Arena in the second leg of that tie, the better. The best way to heal wounds is to forge more success. Vincent Kompany has made it quite clear in pre-season, talking about the fact that nothing but the maximum is what Bayern will aim for. They want to win the Bundesliga, they want to win the DFB Pokal, they want to win the Champions League. Slip from Banzuzi. Bouet charged down. Clipped, caught, but battles on. Wants the foul brought back now. Kim a little too much on the front foot there against Rocker Reitz. And that's how he loves to defend, though. Aggressive, intense. Something that plays in the minds of opponents because they know he's coming. They know he'll be hot on the heels. Kim to Bischoff. Bischoff. In behind for Diaz. Bit of savvy play there from Castello Jr. He would have been offside anyway. Let's be honest as well, there was an element of offside about Nathaniel Brown's goal, but there is no video assist in operation at the Allianz Arena today. Again, we've already lost one Bayern player to a knock in Konrad Laimer, one that we're hoping doesn't prove too serious. He was forced off inside the first 10 minutes of this game and replaced by Sasha Boué. Min-jae Kim needs treatment now. And again, in these situations, in pre-season, precautionary measures are likely to be taken, whether it's that serious or not. At the same time, Kim's had his 66 minutes. That's a good run out again as he tries to get up to gear and maybe stake a claim for a starting berth a little bit more often. It will be very interesting as well, not just for Bayern and Vincent Kompany, but how other teams cope in dealing with the players that represented them in the World Cup, whether they really will be thrust straight back into the starting lineup without really blinking, or whether their minutes might be managed a little bit more. Right now you can see we've got a whole host of Bayern changes ready to be made. Some exciting ones as well. Jamal Musiala, after having the metal plate taken out of his lower leg, has been working hard on getting back to full fitness. Alphonso Davies has been doing the same after the injury that hampered his ability to feature for Canada at the World Cup. And we also just there saw Ismail Saibari ready to come on and make his debut here at the Allianz Arena. He couldn't have drawn it up any better in pre-season. You can also see Hiroki Ito and Mike Wisdom coming on. And Maicon Cardoso, I think, completes the list of substitutions here. Bayern using that hydration break just to freshen things up. And there was a huge roar earlier in the game when Jamal Musiala got sent for his warm-up. Because again, you think about what that front line did last season for Bayern, how devastating it was at times. And then you add a fully fit Jamal Musiala and the fresh dynamism of Ismail Saibari to the mix as well. And my word, not to mention the likes of Maicon Cardoso, Tim Binder, who are waiting in the wings if any opportunity arises. Man who speaks 5 languages, Ismail Saibari. He was one of the stars of the show for Morocco at the World Cup before that injury against France. Born in Terrassa, Spain. Nathaniel Brown make a good first impression. Saibari, I'm sure, will be trying to do the same. Bichiabu and Gertruida on for Leipzig, as well as Martin Demichelis continues to use the options off his bench. Not a bad first couple of touches there from Saibari. Kimmich providing that link. Foul by Sacha Boue. And Bakayoko will keep this one in play. Ito alert to the danger. Cardoso does enough to force the turnover momentarily. Rocco Reitz was trying to do everything to win it back and almost did. Now Kimmich again just lets the play settle. Finds Tar. Saibari wants to defeat and gets it. 142 appearances, 42 goals for PSV Eindhoven. And Musiala with the shots that draws the oohs and ahs from the Zuid Curve. Not enough to test Martin van der Voort. Just got a little too underneath the effort. If Bayern can get him back to his best this season, then every other team on the continent needs to be wary. Neuer, all the way down the other end, picked off by Saibari. Good endeavour shown there, albeit unable to retain possession. And Martin Demichelis won't be displeased with what he's seen from his side. You can see the approach he wants his charges to adopt. The hunger levels at the start of the second half are what we're used to seeing from Leipzig in that RB DNA that they've fashioned over the years since their rise to the elite levels of German football. But these players are still getting used to Martin Demichelis, his approach, his philosophy. As Davies able to turn. Finds Musiala, his good friend. Swept out to Cardoso. Maicon Cardoso on the run. Twist to the turn. Still going, Cardoso. Oh, he goes for goal himself, and it's beaten away by Van der Voort. Lovely bit of play from the nifty winger. If he had the wherewithal to have produced the square ball, he might have been able to find Saibari at the back post. Oof, yeah, 50-50. Saibari did well there to get his foot a little higher so that he didn't come worse off. Yellow card shown. The first one of the 2026 Telekom Cup. And that is a nasty one for Ezekiel Banzuzi. You heard the contact and you'll have felt it ripple through that shin bone. Boué. Wisdom Mike. He might have made a bigger splash last season. Wisdom Mike had his campaign not be curtailed by injuries, but nice to see him back, raring to go. He made his debut at the age of 16. He was one of those first teenagers that was brought into the senior squad affairs, maybe not featuring in matches, but at least being in that environment in training. He fancied himself in a one-on-one position like that, took on Benjamin Henriksson. The intention was clear. And right now you've got to think that Wisdom Mike has a little less competition down Bayern's left wing than he does out wide on the right, where Olise is, of course, the undisputed first choice. Player of the season as voted for by the Bayern fans at the end of the 25-26 campaign, and understandably so. Harry Kane, we want crowned with the Ballon d'Or, though. But behind Olise, you've got Leonard Carl, you've got Tim Binder, you've got Maicon Cardoso that like to play on this right wing. Meanwhile, on the left, it really is Diaz and maybe Ibrahimovic's backup. Right now, we don't really know where Saibari's role is going to be. He says he wants to play in the 10. Right now, he's playing as the lone striker. And that might be a role as a backup to Harry Kane. But ultimately, he will be a puzzle piece that fits into a lot of different spots for Vincent Kompany. Cardoso. Heavy touch off the chest. Finkgräfe is on the run. One cross has led to a goal already, but that one certainly won't follow suit.
Ist die Allianz Arena ausverkauft für damals bei 25.000 Zuschauern.
75,000 in attendance. And another sold-out Allianz Arena who, they were getting ready to enjoy a bit of Musiala magic there. Pavlovic gives chase. Gruda. Reitz. Beaten to the ball by Pavlovic. He's been a little leggy at times in this second half, but the endeavour, the determination is always there from Alexander Pavlovic. Been pictured kicking the ball about in the Englischer Garten with his good friend Tom Bischoff. There's now Musiala! The Südkurve are on their feet. The first little bit of Musiala magic to enjoy in the 26-27 season. Oh, how we missed you, Jamal, last season. It is going to be great to have him back and hear a glimpse of exactly what he can bring to the table. He is a master technician in those little pockets of space, whether it be with his fleet feet or whether it be with a tidy finish that just nestles in the bottom corner. The Bayern fans are ready to have Musiala back to his best for Bayern. And he's made it 3-1 in the 2026 Telekom Cup. Job done, you'd think, for Vincent Kompany's side. Plenty to pick through in this performance from both teams, though. Can Leipzig take another step in their development after Ole Werner was let go and replaced by Martin Demichelis? Bayern once again sending a message of intent against one of their biggest competitors in the upper echelons of the Bundesliga. Konate. Finkgräfer looking for Bakayoko, and that was a vital header from Davies. Davies just ran himself into a little bit of trouble and bailed out by the whistle. Definitely clipped there by Konrad Harder. Please, no more injuries. Please. That's all we can ask for now. Just under 7 minutes of normal time remaining. The scoreline virtually wrapped up. Bayern and their players just want to come out of this one unscathed now. But right now there's real cause for concern. The physios are being waved on. And there's the Leipzig physios as well, which suggests it's a Leipzig player that's gone down there. These are the types of things that we do not like to see. And that's why a bit of a hush falls over the Allianz Arena, as thoughts go straight beyond the football and straight to the health of the player involved here. You can understand why the cameras aren't showing what's going on. It's fair to say those that can help are there to help. Whoever is down, Alphonso Davies is doing up the shoelaces. I think, is it Jamal Musiala? It is, you know. Thumbs up from the Nordarzt. Oof. Scary moment at the Allianz Arena. I mean, this summer has been unrelenting, and a lot of questions have been asked about the impact on players. That's why we've got the hydration breaks, to give them a chance just to catch their breath. And he's walking off of his own volition, which is a great sign, but he does look a little bit dazed, let's say. And again, we're in pre-season. There's no point not taking precautionary measures. Shame to see him forced off in this way, having scored the goal to make it 3-1, but there are things so much far more important in football. And the health of these players is very much one of them. So, again, our best wishes go out to Konrad Laimer, our best wishes go out to Min Jae Kim, our best wishes now go out to Jamal Musiala. We hope that all three players, it's nothing serious. But not really the nice note we were hoping to end this Telekom Cup on. And you got to think, I mean, Bayern have potentially on course for a 3-1 win, but what has this match cost them? Davies was making a good run down the left. It's worked to Njai instead, onto Jonathan Tah. Njai, who has now completed his move to Bayern. Bit of a complicated process, according to the board director of sport, Max Abel, but they got it over the line in the end, and that was only complicated because there were multiple parties involved in the decision-making, the deal-making. That's why it took a little bit longer, but Bayern were always very confident of getting their man, and they got their man indeed. Cardoso, the target for the long ball. Something tells me a lot of people are going to be refreshing their social media feeds, looking for an update on Jamal Musiala, hoping to maybe hear from him that everything's okay and that it was maybe just a bout of dizziness and nothing more. But it's always a very scary situation when a player goes to ground voluntarily or sometimes involuntarily. Johan Bakayoko. Game changer for Leipzig at the start of the second half, but after the scores were levelled through Brian Gruder, Bayern came on strong. 2 more goals to give them a little daylight now as we're into the dying embers of normal time. We'll probably have a few minutes added on. Oh, Njai, what a nutmeg. That is glorious from Barasapoko and Njai, and now he's spotted the space. He picks the pass. He's picked out Cardoso. Better first touch than that, could have been even more promising. Nevertheless, Cardoso closed down by Finkgräfer. You can see why they are so high on the prospects of Barasapoko and Njai in the Bayern ranks. Harder out to Thomas. Cardoso with a cool pass to Boué. Stop in play from Robert Hartmann. so that Sacha Boey can have a bit of cramp tended to. Sacha Boey has had a history of muscular injuries since joining Bayern. And again, given the impressive nature of his performances in pre-season, it would be a shame for him now to pick up another of those issues that could just see him sidelined for a short or maybe even longer spell, because they can prove problematic, and he's a very explosive player that certainly doesn't shy away from going hell for leather out on the pitch. And given the injuries we've had today, I just wonder whether Vincent Kompany might regret adding another pre-season friendly to the list with Heidenheim on Wednesday. Admittedly, the idea for that game is to give his star trio of Upamecano, Olise and Kane the chance to get a few minutes under their belt before the Super Cup, likely in a bit part role off the bench in the second half, but that was the whole reason he wanted the extra fixture. Bayern München, Telekom Cup 2026 winners, courtesy of a 3-1 win in their one and only pre-season friendly at the Allianz Arena against RB Leipzig. It's all smiles between former teammates Martin Demichelis and Vincent Kompany. We had a debut goal for Nene Brown. We had a debut appearance for Ismail Saibari. Jamal Musiala on the score sheet in front of the Zuid-Curve. Another successful outing for Bayern as their pre-season preparations continue in earnest. Next Saturday, competitive action gets underway in the Franz Beckenbauer Super Cup against Borussia Dortmund in Dortmund. Before then, there's another friendly against Heidenheim to come. But Bayern are gearing up for the 26-27 season in fine style. And this, a statement 3-1 win against RB Leipzig on home soil. James Thorogood, your match commentator, delighted to have the pleasure of your company. A game that had the intensity of a league outing at times. Otherwise, there were phases of pre-season in the mix, but Bayern will lift the Telekom Cup trophy in just a moment, so stay with us for the official trophy ceremony. Lots of the players sharing a nice moment. A lot more smiles post-match in pre-season than there are after some of the league encounters. And we got a debut for Ismail Saibari in Bayern colours at the Allianz Arena. Didn't quite have the opportunity to grab the highlight moment that Nathaniel Brown did. But his time will come. Ismail Saibari, this the first of many appearances on Bayern's books. Real quality added to that front line. Not that it needed it, but could a bit more depth be the difference on the continent, which is where Bayern want to go one better. Manuel Neuer with some tidy saves today. Beaten just once by a pretty good effort from Brian Kruder. Former Leverkusen teammates Benjamin Henrichs and Jonathan Tah catching up. People first, players second. Something that should never be forgotten. Relationships are established in the world of football that are to be respected as well. And now Bayern take a moment in front of the Südkurve. For the first time in the 26-27 season to revel in a successful result. Fifth pre-season friendly of the summer. The only blemish on the record was that 2-1 loss against Wien Wiesbaden in the opening friendly. And of course, lest we forget, that was a game in which Vincent Kompany named a starting lineup made exclusively of teenagers. And while he brought on some bigger guns in the second half, this was Bayern before they had their World Cup stars back in their ranks. There's one more friendly to come against Heidenheim. Can you give us a little summary of how pre-season has been and how the team are feeling ahead of the start of the new season? I'm very happy with my performances. I got straight back into training. We had some good results as a team as well. I've really put my foot down in pre-season. Really happy with where the team are right now. We have seen once again what this team are capable of in pre-season. I think it's fair to say we're well prepared. And we showed in this game as well what we can achieve. We've got a super mentality, we've got super players, and we've still got players set to return, so it doesn't get better than that. We saw the summer signings out on the pitch, Nene Brown and Ismail Saibari. How happy are you with their first impressions? And the fact is we're really happy. They are both wonderful footballers. I think they both showed their qualities today. Nene Brown with his goal, Izzy with the assist as well. They're super lads, they're super footballers, and it makes fun. It's a lot of fun to play with them. A week before the competitive action starts, what has to happen between now and then? We need to regenerate, recover a little bit more. We've got a couple of days before the next game as well. But we'll try and recover as best we can, prepare as best we can, and then take it from training to training, from game to game, as we look to take steps towards the new season. So from the Allianz Arena, time for us to say goodbye at the end of the Telekom Cup 2026, won by FC Bayern München, 3-1 in the scoreline against RB Leipzig. Last friendly at 6 o'clock local time on the 18th of August against second tier CEST FC Heidenheim. But from us here on FC Bayern TV Plus, thanks for joining. Tune in again on Wednesday. But enjoy the rest of the weekend and revel in the 3-1 win for Bayern against RB Leipzig.